YouTube, it's me. Hi, it's me, ValleyGirl5678, and I am back for another album review. Today I will be reviewing the new Kali Uchis album, Red Moon and Venus. This is the third full-length project from Kali Uchis, following 2020's Sin Miedo and 2018's iconic genre-defying pop R&B LP Isolation, which really put her on the map. It just worked so well with that era of pop and hip-hop and R&B music. We were having Flower Boy, Control, and Blonde were still very much in the conversation. Solange was in her slay period. Blood Orange was rocking our world. In many ways, I think this era was a time of pop music, not just leaning into more the hip-hop and R&B sounds, but it was reaching past that, opening the door to a new world of music that we now are very much in. And Kali was a huge part of that musical shift. While her last release was in 2020, Isolation was her last English and Spanish album, whereas Sin Miedo was only in Spanish. Since I am a non-Spanish speaking white girl, I was very hyped for this new release. Not that I didn't enjoy Sin Miedo, obviously, but as you know by now, if you've been watching my videos, I'm a huge lyric person, so I was excited to get a predominantly English album from Kali Uchis. I do like this album, but unfortunately this album just does not slay remotely as hard for me as Isolation does. I'll get into why, but also I think it's important to note that this is 5 years later. She obviously is in a nice romantic relationship with Don Toliver, the relationship that the majority of this album is about. I've always been a proponent of artists, evolving within their own sounds, and I do feel like she very much did that with this album. I just think she fell a little short. I do really like how the album begins with the cute little intro track into the single for the album, which was I Wish You Roses, which is probably my favorite track on the album. I really like the next track, Worth the Wait feat. Omar Apollo. His contributions are great, but after this track is where it starts becoming a little bit more of a mixed bag for me, and it's mostly in regards to the lyrical content. The writing on this entire album feels quite mid to me. Of course, there are some tracks that are better or whatever than others, and there are a lot of moments where you can make the case for power and simplicity, or repetition meaning something, but overall it does just get boring to me. For example, the next track, Love Between. Now, this track does sample a song from 1972 by the Tempest called Love Can Be So Wonderful. Kali interpolated the line, love between a boy and a girl can be so wonderful. Obviously, Kali says love between two human beings, modernizing that line in the sense of just being more inclusive. Kali said that she felt so inspired by the song but wished it wasn't gender specified and felt called to breathe fresh life into it. She says, the verses I wrote very naturally in a freestyle sort of way, just random thoughts when falling in love. Now, this definitely shows in the verses, and if that's her artistic vision, that's her artistic vision. It just doesn't grab me like a line like your teeth in my neck. The next track, All Mine, is a diss track of sorts to people that, in Kali's words straight from Spotify, are bitter and alone, so they hate on lovers or want to ruin relationships. Oof. Now, I'm not saying Kali is being any type of way with this song. I do think you have to consider the context that her boyfriend is Don Toliver, and she does mention through some lyrics that she was the first girl that could get him to settle down and get lovey-dovey and all of that stuff. And she mentions on the song, or a song later on the album, all of these hoes. So obviously if you're in a relationship with someone and there are all of these hoes in their DMs, that's annoying. You're gonna make it known that you are claiming this person and they are claiming you. That is the energy the song has, for sure. And again, don't hate this song, but all mine, that's all me. Every time I see you smile, that's all me. And if they thought they had a chance, I'm sorry, but there just ain't no way in hell, that's all mine, all me. Let's compare that chorus to a chorus from Isolation. Even on the Steve Lacy feature on Just a Stranger, the chorus is very simple. Over and over again, she wants my $100 bills, she don't want love. There are literally less words in this chorus than in the chorus of All Mine. Yet, this is much more effective. There's a really big difference between simplicity and lack of substance, and I think this song lyrically is a pretty good example of that. So the next track, Fantasy feat. Don Toliver. Don Toliver is her boo that the majority of this album is about, so it's cute that they did a little track together called Fantasy about how their relationship is a fantasy for both of them. That's absolutely adorable. But when you take that context out, this song would have been so much better without him. Now, I'm not a hater of Don Toliver at all. I get why he got so popular in 2020. I get why so many people do feature him on their tracks. My biggest issue with him as an artist is that I literally have never heard anything remotely new from him ever since I heard a track from him back in like 2020. Like, yes, go for what works, but we're also in a day and age where what worked a year ago is not gonna work now, and like his sound was really fresh in 2020, but it's 2023 and he hasn't shifted, at least on the features that I've heard from him. And I get that when people bring him in to be a feature, Callie aside, they bring him in for a reason, they bring him in for his sound. I do get that, but I don't know, I guess I'm over it. The way the song starts as his feature and goes into Callie's verse 1 with the production and the drums and the instrumentation is really great, but I hate his verse. I want to dance, throw my hands in the air. I want to dance where no one really cares. I want to dance, throw my hands in the air. I want to dance where no one really cares. I want to dance. I want to dance. It just doesn't relate at all to any of the lyrics in the rest of the song, which is actually one of the best written songs on the album in my opinion. Even his other verse makes more sense and is written better. Like, I just don't get what they were going for with that particular pre-chorus. I don't understand. This is a great example of something being simplistic and have no substance. The two don't come together. They don't have to. It's just very clear they put, melody and production and song structure over the lyrics for that one, and that's fine, I guess, but that's the first thing I noticed, where I was like, is he just saying he wants to dance and throw his hands in the air where no one cares? What year is it? Like, I get what they were going for, but it, like, just by the hair of this pre-chorus missed the mark. The next two tracks, Como Te Quiero Yo and Hasta Cuando, are both in Spanish and English. Hasta Cuando just has more, like, variety in general, like, melodically, lyrically, instrumentally. And I love her, like, sexy, talky singing moment in verse 2. And here, a place where simplicity is effective. Whatever makes you feel better. It's like, yay! Like, the delivery is so good. The next track, Endlessly, does have a really great production, but the, like, lyrical boringness kind of still remains. The track after that, Moral Conscious, does stray a bit thematically out of this idea of, this relationship, which is honestly a little bit refreshing. Like, obviously, this is an album about love. This is an album mostly about this relationship that she feels so much love from. That's beautiful and sweet and very cohesive. But the album, definitely up until now, has kind of been walking the line between, like, cohesion and, like, repetitiveness, even with the production. So this track did feel quite refreshing to me. Here, Callie's just looking a bit more inward in regards to kind of the love that she lacked as a child, affecting how she craves and would like to receive love now, so it's still very much related to the album. This is definitely another shady track, like All Mine, but it is another situation where I completely understand where the shade is coming from, given that Callie says this is about a family member, and she has talked a lot about how her dad growing up told her she wasn't pretty enough or had a nice enough voice to be, like, successful in the music industry. I really like the very subtle reverb on her vocals and the production in general on this track. Blue is an entire track dedicated to representing Callie being at odds with the one she loves, and that anxiety of being at odds with this person, the potentiality of losing this person being on the table brings out some ownership of Callie for herself, which is kind of the first time we see it on the album as well, so that's also refreshing. This is a nice chill bop with some jazzy instrumental moments, which is very reminiscent of, like, a lot of the production and instrumentation on Isolation. This is probably also one of my favorite tracks on the album, alongside the next track, Deserve Me, with Summer Walker. Callie said the song was written back in 2019 and is the oldest song on the album. The song is about recognizing your self-worth when your partner doesn't. It makes a lot of sense that Summer Walker is on this track, given her very public relationship with London on the track. I'm not going to go into detail, but listen to Over It, her 2019 LP, which was fully produced by London on the track, and then Still Over It, her 2022 LP, which was not. Regardless of the tea, both of these albums are amazing, especially Over It. Summer and Callie's voices sound so good together. I really like Summer's verse lyrically. I love the line, "Make me want to take the pussy back, you don't even know how to act." Tell him. Tell him. Overall, it's definitely one of the best written tracks on the album, and I love how the intro and outro are both like instrumental moments. The next track is Moonlight. Obviously, there's no title track on this album, so this track is definitely the closest to that, as it directly references the title and its astrological relation, which is that Venus is the planet of love, and a red moon is a rarity, something that, you know, does not happen often. So a red moon in Venus kind of just represents the idea that true love is rare, and Callie and Dawn found it. This additional context adds so much to just this track in general, being that to me this is like the ultimate love song on this album, even though it's an album of love songs, because this one feels like the purest representation of her love for Dawn. I love her vocals on this track. Yeah, this is definitely one of the best on the album for sure. And then the last track, Happy Now, is a great closer for this album about finding true love, what it feels like to be in true love, and how to protect that love from anything negative or ruinous. I love the little detail of the end of the song being waves crashing, because as we all know, the tides are directly correlated with the moon. So yeah, overall, I like this album. It's so thematically and sonically cohesive. It's such like a body of work. However, it almost crosses the line between like too thematically and sonically cohesive, where it almost starts becoming like to its detriment. Kind of how I was talking about the fine line between like cohesion and like repetitiveness. I think I just had higher hopes for her, but I also want to honor her artistic integrity. I genuinely can't decide if I want to give this album a 6 or a 7, so I'm gonna give it a 6.5. If you want to get to know me and my brain behind, you know, my relation to music and how it interacts with my life, you should definitely check out my Sunroom. Sunroom is an app for female and non-binary creators to get monetized for their content in an uncensored fashion. So on there, I'm doing some vlog vibe stuff, some just general music discourse, some dance and choreography content, as that's like my main career, and other stuff that I just, you know, don't want to or cannot post on Instagram or TikTok. So my link to my Sunroom will be in the comment section alongside my TikTok and Instagram, and I'm gonna link my Spotify as well. I think I need to start doing that because I have many silly little playlists, as you can imagine. Thank you so much for watching this video. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!